The Red Sox may have found their rotational target. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the latest reports about the Red Sox interest in one of the top starting pitchers on the market. We're going to talk about what has gone down, why he could be a fit with the Red Sox, and some things that could end up giving the Red Sox pause on bringing him to Boston. But before we get into that, we are very, very close to our Movember donation goal. We're just over $100 away from reaching it, so if you want to help us finish out the month strong and reach that $1,500 goal, do me a favor, click the link in either the description or the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So the reason we are talking about Blake Snell in today's video is because the Red Sox have shown very legitimate interest in Blake Snell's services. And this isn't some sort of John Heyman, Alex Bregman, oh, the Red Sox called to check in type interest. No, this is legitimate, confirmed, actual interest in Blake Snell services. In fact, Ken Rosenthal came out with an article yesterday that actually specifically spoke about just how high of a level the Red Sox are in on Blake Snell, stating that the Red Sox are one of two confirmed teams to have had a legitimate meeting with Snell. The other is, of course, the Dodgers. There are also two other AL East teams, at least rumored to be meeting with Snell as well, in the Blue Jays and the Orioles. So it is legitimate interest here. It's not just picking up the phone to see, oh, would he possibly be interested in coming to the Red Sox? Oh, what's your market looking at like right now? Oh, hey, just keep us in mind. We might be interested in setting up a meeting or something. No, this is the Red Sox actually going out there and meeting with Blake Snell, and I think that's a positive thing. In fact, I think most Red Sox fans would agree that this is a positive thing, and the other reason we are talking about him in today's video is because breaking him down, he kind of fits exactly what the Red Sox are looking for. As we know, the Red Sox rotation last year was actually pretty solid, right? I try and mention that as many times as humanly possible. If you look at ERA or WHIP, they were a top 10 rotation in Major League Baseball, but one thing they didn't really excel in last year was swing and miss stuff. In fact, they were in the bottom half of the league last year when it came to strikeouts, officially the 16th most strikeouts in the entire sport. So there is absolutely room for improvement when it comes to swing and miss stuff, and what better way to improve that than to sign Blake Snell, who is right now the current active leader in strikeouts per nine. Blake Snell has a career 11.2 strikeouts per every 9 inning he pitches, which is the all-time record at the moment, which he took over from Chris Sale this season. And it's not like strikeouts are diminishing with age. In fact, he had the highest strikeout percentage of his career last year, striking out over a third of the batters he faced at 34.7%. Not to mention the rest of his year looks pretty good as well, with a 3.12 ERA, an even lower 2.43 FIP, a 1.048, so not a lot of traffic on the base pass when he's on the mound, and a 1.24 ERA plus, 24% more productive than the average starter in the league. And this is kind of what Snell's done for a majority of his career. In fact, in 9 seasons, he's a very similar 3.19 ERA. The FIP is a little bit higher, 3.35, and the WHIP is at 1.217 with a career ERA plus at 128. Again, 28% above league average production. Not to mention, this year, he was absolutely fantastic at limiting hard contact. In fact, he was one of the best players in baseball on the mound when it came to limiting hard contact, which is going to be a really important factor for the Red Sox when looking at left-handed starting pitchers, right? Because historically, left-handed starting pitchers tend to struggle a bit at Fenway, specifically with righties pulling it onto the monster. Having a guy who can limit hard contact is a really big plus, and his breaking stuff was some of the best in baseball as well. I mean, just look at this Baseball Savant page, right? It's almost as red as you can possibly get. He was dominant last year, and this was after a really crappy start to the season. He was the best pitcher in baseball in the second half. I mean, just look at these second half numbers. Opponents were hitting just 133 off of him and had an 18 OPS plus. That is 82% less productive than the average hitter in Major League Baseball when they are facing Blake Snell. The dude was absolutely fantastic, especially in the second half of the season. But for the Red Sox, what this means is sort of exactly what they're looking for, right? The Red Sox, or we as fans, the Red Sox, whoever has been saying, look, the Red Sox have this sort of depth built up in their rotation. You've got guys like Houck, Bayo, Crawford, Giolito. These are guys who can anchor the back halves to middles of rotations, although Houck, I think, could very easily anchor a top of the rotation, but that's a conversation for a different day. What the Red Sox really needed to take them to this next level is that frontline starting guy. Blake Snell is absolutely that frontline starting guy. He's one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's getting better as he gets older. This is a dude who absolutely fits what the Red Sox are looking for. And not only that, but this is a proven commodity, right? Something we've been talking about the Red Sox acquiring this entire offseason. Someone who has the capability of doing what Blake Snell can do. But it's not the only reason why the Red Sox might be interested in him. The other sort of big factor here is that there's no qualifying offer attached to Blake Snell. Every other major pitcher on the market has a QO on their name. Corbin Burnes, Max Fried, those guys both have qualifying offers. To sign Blake Snell would simply be to sign Blake Snell. You wouldn't need to give up a draft pick or international bonus money in order to get a deal done. And ultimately, I don't think that's going to fully deter the Red Sox from going after a Burnes or a Fried. In fact, in this same article, Ken Rosenthal mentioned that, hey, while the Red Sox met with Snell, they're definitely still in on both Burnes and Fried. I do think if all three of them are lined up, the Red Sox may be a little bit more inclined to take a peek at Blake Snell before they take a peek at Fried and Burnes. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing with this meeting that the Red Sox just had. So far, we've talked about rainbow and sunshine with Snell, and that's awesome. There's a ton of really, really positive things for a Snell Red Sox sort of merger here. I think the Red Sox would be a lot better with Snell at the top of their rotation, but there's also some things that give me pause when it comes to this potential possibility. And I think we also have to talk about those as well. I think the biggest thing that gives most people pause when it comes to Blake Snell are two things that stand out in his career. The first is the durability. Blake Snell has thrown over 130 innings just twice in his career so far. And again, that's 9 seasons, right? Only 2 of those has he pitched a majority of the year. Granted, both of those were Cy Young seasons, but still, this could be an issue, especially as he continues to get older. If you are going to commit big dollars and, more importantly, years, which we are going to talk about in a second, to a guy like Snell, you are taking the risk that he is not going to be on the mound as much as you are going to like, right? If you're going to commit a bunch of money and a bunch of years to somebody, you're going to want them impacting this team as much as humanly possible, and I don't know if you can get that from a guy like Blake Snell. In fact, right now, he's averaging 23 starts a season and about 5 innings per start on his career. Last year, specifically, it was 20 starts. Granted, he signed late in spring training, which affected that, and he averaged about 5 1/3 innings per start. That's not terrible. It's still a majority of the season, right? You're still getting Blake Snell for most of the games that he could possibly start, but you're not getting him for all of them, and that's what scares me the most about a potential Blake Snell deal. If the Red Sox are going after Blake Snell, which it appears that they are at the bare minimum, dipping or putting their hat into the ring for his services, I think what they're going to need to do is really improve this bullpen. He's not going to go incredibly deep into games, and he's probably not going to give you 32 starts a season. You're going to have to be able to ensure that when he's not on the mound, you're still capable of doing that, and it scares me a lot because the Red Sox bullpen certainly did not live up to that challenge last year. Are they going to be able to live up to that challenge with a guy like Blake Snell? The other thing that I think a lot of people point to when it comes to Blake Snell is the consistency issue, right? If we go back to what his career looked like, for a while, it really looked like Blake Snell was the type of pitcher that was going to be dominant one year, and then he was going to be a pretty average pitcher the year after that. I mean, taking a look at it, right? 2016, his debut year, he was great. And then 2017, he comes out and he's a 4.04 ERA. Then he wins a Cy Young in 2018. And then 2019, it jumps back up to a 4.29 ERA. Then you get to 2020, right? Obviously a shortened season, less of a sample size. Still a really solid year. 21, again, it jumps up to that 4.20 ERA. It's a concern, absolutely, right? If you're going to sign this guy for more than a season, are you going to get this sort of cyclical Blake Snell where he's great one year and it just sort of all averages out to an above average pitcher because of how good those seasons he's on are. But one thing I do want to point out is the last time he threw over a 4 ERA was back in 2021. Over the last 3 seasons, Blake Snell has shown he can be a consistent pitcher. You get 2022 with a 338, you get 2023 with a 225, and you get last season with a 312 ERA. This is a guy who over the last couple of years, in my opinion, has proven that he does have the potential to be consistently great on the mound. So I'm not as worried about the consistency as some other people are, but it's absolutely something to consider, especially when we get into the actual numbers here. And let's do exactly that. So when we're looking at potential contracts for Blake Snell, it varies a little bit. Spotrac has him about 6 years, $27 million a year. MLB Trade Rumors has him 5 years, about $32 million a year. I would assume it's going to land, I would guess, closer to the MLB Trade Rumors prediction. I do think Snell is going to get paid this offseason, and I'm honestly not too worried about the actual financial value of this contract. Blake Snell is a 2-time Cy Young winner. He is one of the best strikeout rates. He has the best strikeout rate per 9 of all time right now. This is a guy who absolutely is pitching to the level of a $30+ million pitcher. What I'm concerned with is the years attached. Even at 5 years, you are going to be signing Blake Snell through his age 36 season, right? He's going to be 32 next year. 36 would be 5 years. That's a really, really big risk for the Red Sox, who normally aren't super inclined to take risks like that on pitchers in their 30s. And Blake Snell, again, hasn't really shown signs of regression. There's no reason for me to sit here and say, well, he's going to diminish as he gets older, outside of the fact that time beats everything. You could sit here and you can take a look at the statistics and say, well, wait a second, Blake Snell's not getting any worse. Why should we care about the age? Because at the end of the day, he is going to diminish at some point. It's just nature, right? At some point, he's not going to be able to do what he's doing right now. And what is that point? Is it 4 years into this contract? Is it 3 years into this contract? Where does Blake Snell start to hit the real back end of his career? And 5 years is a real big risk to take with that. Not to mention, we go back to the innings thing here, and it's okay. He can pitch 120. Maybe we get 180 season here and there from Blake Snell. But at what point does that start to diminish as well? What point do injuries start racking up for Blake Snell like they have already? And that's what scares me the most about a Blake Snell contract. I honestly don't know how comfortable I would be if I was a GM of the Red Sox giving Blake Snell 5 or 6 years. I think I'd be a whole lot more comfortable if he ends up coming down to 3 or 4 years. If he's in that range, I think this is absolutely a really great deal for the Red Sox. But if he ends up at 5 or 6 years, yeah, I think they're taking a risk, and yeah, I think that's going to give them some pause. Look, at the end of the day, every single pitcher that we could talk about that is available and that sits at the top of this tier list for pitchers on the market, whether it's Snell and his innings / consistency / age issue, whether it's Corbin Burnes, who, again, age, total dollars, diminishing velocity and strikeouts, absolutely something to talk about. Max Fried had an injury issue in 23. Max Fried doesn't get a ton of swing and miss. Those are big concerns with that guy. You could point to reasons to not sign all of these guys. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be up to the Red Sox themselves, and we're just going to have to trust their judgment on which one they think they can sort of minimize risk with the most, right? Is it a Burnes contract? Is it a Fried contract? Or is it a Snell contract? Either way, I think you could find reasons not to sign any of these guys. I don't think you should harp on those reasons to not get a deal done. Sometimes you got to take a risk. Sometimes you got to do something bold in order for it to pay off. And I think it could pay off really, really well for Blake Snell. The more I look into Snell, the more I talk about Blake Snell, the more I really like the idea of Snell in Boston. I still think I prefer Max Fried. Maybe if you guys want, we could do a video comparing Max Fried and Blake Snell and try and figure out which one we like better. But I don't think Snell is all that far off. I don't think I would be mad if the Red Sox signed him to a deal. I would just be a little concerned with the length of the contract. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? What do you think of the Red Sox meeting with Snell? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you think about his fit on the Red Sox? Do you like that? Do you not? not like that. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.